ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Hopefully not children of all ages. This is kind of a mature show. If your kids are listening to this, stop right now. Welcome to another episode of Some Random. This is episode 22. Today, my guest with me, the beautiful, the wonderful, mysterious ZeroSyndicate.
Hey.
Alex, how's it going, buddy? How are you?
Pretty good. How about you? Thank you for having me.
You know what? I couldn't be happier. I get to have a legend of the Michigan scene, a staple of Michigan Masters for me on the show right now. So I'm very, very happy. I couldn't be happier.
Sorry, you caught me off guard. I wasn't ready for the beautiful man. What a wow.
Well, what I like to do is I like to get the guests pumped up. You know, I like to get you all pumped up for the show. So that way,
right, yeah.
you don't want to come in low energy for this, because this is definitely one of those things. You know, when you're talking about yourself, if you start low, you're gonna stay low. So we can start high and then go low, because that usually happens. But we can't start on a low note.
For sure. Yeah, definitely.
Oh man. Well, I guess going from here, Alex, tell the people, who the hell are you?
Yeah, sure. So, as you said, my name is Alex. I go by Zero in the scene. You can find me at ZeroSyndicate on Twitter. You got all the names there, twitch.tv/ZeroSyndicate as well. Currently, I'm mainly a commentator for the fighting game community, focusing on mostly anime games. So, Under Night in Birth, Guilty Gear, Dragon Ball. I'm also working on Mortal Kombat 11. And have done Killer Instinct in the past. That's kind of where I am my biggest claim to fame, I guess you could say, in the FGC. And now I'm just working on regular content on Twitch and YouTube as well, where I do analysis for those games. And also working on doing some game journalism again, getting back into that. So just kind of doing videos on the side for that. And yeah, that's basically about me right now. So.
Oh man, jack of all trades, and master of
yep.
all for the most part. I've had the pleasure of Alex calling one of my matches while I was in a drunken stupor at Michigan Masters, playing the Podare Rangers tournament.
Yes,
where they threw 16 of us onto Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, and approximately 3 of us knew what we were doing. And one of them was not me.
That was a phenomenal time. I love that at Michigan Masters being able to do the tournament. I've done 2 of those now. So the tournament Podare for Dragon Ball, and then Podare Rangers. So that was, both of those have been a blast. It's just fun to just be able to unwind and hang out with good friends, and just a very silly game at the time for Power Rangers. Now that game is changed so much, but it's still phenomenal to see. So.
Oh yeah, it's drastically different, but
Mm-hmm.
at the time, I think it was like a month after release that we were playing it, and like I said, maybe 3 of the 16, probably 4 of the 16 people knew what they were doing, but it was just so much fun to jam out on that game. That was, I don't know, it was exciting.
Yeah, Dacit Bro, of course, still fighting strong in that game, and a few of among them that knew a lot of the broken stuff that you could do in that game. So
right. Oh my! I was waiting for the Gold Art Infinite to come out, because I was just gonna be like, oh boy, all right, here it is.
Oh. Still fun to see, and you were a pretty wild party animal for that one too, which is definitely awesome.
I try to be, just because the Podare tournaments at Michigan Masters are so much fun, because you're in, like, I don't know, a 20 by 20 room with people, like a 20 by 30 room, and everyone is shoulder to shoulder, and everyone, like, we all know, like, obviously we're there for fighting games, like, heavy quotation marks, but also everyone's there for the fucking drinking. So as soon as, like, shots are being able to be poured, and the previous year for the Dragon Ball Fighters, A-Bake had beaten the shit out of me, so I didn't get to have a shot for the tournament. So when I got my first win and got my shot, I was very excited.
Yeah, there you go. That's the way to do it. I still remember that first one where Yohozi ended up winning and opened up the Shaken Strong Zero, and just her face just. The look of terror when she exploded the drink all over the place. Oh, it was great.
Oh, that's another one too. Yohosi coming from California and then like always coming to Michigan Masters and dominating almost every game she plays in, and then still showing up for the Podare tournament and having a fucking great time there is the best. That's why when I was at Combo Breaker, I happened to run into her while I was meeting up with White Beast, Alex Rain, and a couple other guys, and I was just like, I'm gonna fucking buy her some pizza because this girl, she's definitely having some of my pizza. We're having a good time, and like we sat down, we split some deep dish pizza. It was a good night. I enjoy Combo Breaker.
Yeah, definitely. Combo Breaker's amazing.
That was something else. I enjoy Michigan Masters. I think Michigan Masters is probably my favorite tournament. But as like a giant like premier event, I think Combo Breaker is unlike anything I've ever seen.
Yeah, Combo Breaker really holds a special place for me as far as the fighting game community goes, because it was my first major that I went to, the very first Combo Breaker, and that was 2016 was the first one. That was the early season 2 of Killer Instinct there. And I was kind of hanging out with everybody, and Isaac, one of the developers for from Iron Galaxy, was kind of sitting there. It's like, so what do you think of the tournament? And I looked at it, I was like, man, like this is amazing. Like the energy, like I always watched it on the stream, and like I never really like got the major. Like I always traveled to like local events, and I got that. Like that was fine. But then like feeling the energy of being at a major tournament like that, is like, I need to keep doing this. And he was like, yeah, it takes the one, and then you'll keep going after. And I haven't stopped since. So,
well, yeah, that's and Rick, the organizer for Combo Breaker, is a giant Killer Instinct fan.
Yes.
So walking into the venue, I believe it was Friday or even Saturday, and seeing like KI had the main stage while like Mortal Kombat 11, which was brand new and like the hypest game for everyone, and Street Fighter 5, which is one of the bigger tournaments that was entered, were off on side stages while Killer Instinct was front and center. And I was just like, oh man, like this is awesome. And they have the giant lights that say like Killer Instinct on the side. Shout outs to Rick on that tournament, man.
The production of that venue is just absolutely outstanding. Honestly, just being able to see the stage and like games like that. I mean, Chicago's a big area for Skullgirls as well, and it's a big anime area in general too. So being able to have that home for Skullgirls and home for Killer Instinct, it's fantastic. Shoot, even Vampire Savior does pretty well out there, I believe, too, if memory serves correctly on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that scene in general is just like, it's a nice hotbed of not only competition and great players, but like also like where like games last for quite some time out there, and I love it. So
yeah, shout out to that whole Chicago scene, man. St. Cola and everyone holding it down for the Street Fighter scene out there, they've done excellent work, and I always see like great Tekken players and great anime players coming out of the area. So shout out to that whole Chicago scene. Like we talk about the Midwest being super strong. I think Chicago might be one of the stronger areas out of the Midwest.
Chicago's definitely I think one of the forces to be reckoned with out in the Midwest. Like we do have some in Detroit, but I think like the depth of competition, like as far as like consistent competition, really is strong in Chicago. And I should consider like Minneapolis area as well.
Yeah,
it's also a pretty strong area. But yeah, like we think of Ohio. We always joke like Ohio doesn't have anybody out there. Ohio's like empty. What's in Ohio? Like Ohio has some strong players as well. Even like Midwest, I think it's like that's like the underdog region, but like there's definitely strong players from every corner of the Midwest. So.
Yeah, it's so funny to me that every time like I see people are like, East Coast has a super strong advantage as far as marketing and stuff goes, and the West Coast has the super strong advantages as far as marketing goes. And that's totally true and valid, and that's totally fine. Though that happened to be a place where the fucking people are, like we have cornfields that separate our cities here in the Midwest. So but there are definitely a lot of good talent out there, but I always feel like the Midwest has a lot of very strong talent that goes and travels well and performs well. Especially recently with the advent of or the growing sense, I guess, of social media, you're able to see a lot of these strong players come out and travel, or even get to see their locals or their smaller events. That's why you get an event like Michigan Masters, which was, as far as I was concerned, like great in 2018. But be able to turn into what it did in 2019 and to at that point become the biggest UNIS tournament that we had in the United States was ridiculous.
Yeah. The growth that Michigan Masters has seen in just a short amount of time after its resurgence, because it went on that little bit of a hiatus. I forget which year was the last one, but there was that brief hiatus that we had for a few years, and then it coming back in 2017 now. Wow.
Yeah.
Like it's great to see that growth just so quickly happen, and now we're in a different venue for 2020, which I'm looking forward to. But like, yeah, speaking of like West Coast, now that I'm on the West Coast, like I think about it, like, man, we really have a lot of privilege out in the Midwest. Like, I mean, honestly, like think about it though, like you're in Midwest, just Michigan location in Detroit, whatever, just Midwest. You have Frosty Faustings, you have Combo Breaker, you have Kumite in Tennessee. You're within a reasonable distance to head out to East Coast Throwdown and defend the North. And then when, Toryukin comes around, you have that. And Canada Cup will usually hit around Toronto area. This year is not hitting Toronto. But, I mean, still, like, Midwest is within a reasonable distance of a lot of the big events out there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, as far as practice goers, exposure goes, like, there's plenty of opportunity for the Midwest. Out here, West Coast, I have to fly to every single event. I have Wednesday night fights, sure, but I got to drive 2 hours to get there. And parking's just atrocious.
Oh, I'm
man,
sure.
Like,
I'm very sure. Oh, man. That sounds terrible, honestly. Every horror story I've ever heard about Los Angeles traffic, I'm like, that sounds awful. There's no way it's that bad. And then I see video, and they're like, oh, it's this bad. I'm like, it's worse than I could have imagined. Like, fucking awful.
It's definitely tough. Like, I mean, sure, the opportunities are definitely out here for fighting games, and there's a lot of strong competition if you really want to learn. There's still a lot of strong people. I'm NorCal, so I would have to go all the way to the Oakland Esports Arena.
Okay.
And that's out in the Bay Area, San Francisco, and that. Like, just being able to play out with the players out there is just really cool. Like, my first Wednesday night fights, like, it was jam packed. But my first local experience out here in the Sacramento area has been like, it was the most, like, I swear to God, it was like a magical moment. We got there. One of the players was moving away down to SoCal. I assume for a new job, but like, the whole community got together. They bought him an Astro A40 controller, or not the A40. I mixed up the headset, but the Astro controller. Like, he's just on the verge of tears, and he hugged me the first day. He's like, hey, nice to meet you. Like, sorry, this is the first time you're seeing me. I was like, oh, no big deal. And then immediately after, a puppy shows up. Like, are you kidding me? Like, how are we going to get a puppy to show up on the first day I show up here? I was like, this is magical. I went to a nice place. So.
Oh, man. Well, look, you got out of the snow. You got out of the awful wet winters up here.
Yeah.
You went out west and you found a puppy. Honestly, or like a puppy found you, I'm going to say. So, it was meant to be.
I guess so. Like, stars aligned on that move for sure. But, I definitely missed the Midwest for sure.
Well, so what caused the move to the Midwest, or out to the actual West Coast from the Midwest?
Well, I got a new job, a little bit of a promotion in my previous position out in Michigan. I work in advertising, and that's about as far as I'm going to say for that.
No, totally fine.
And then that as well, like, it's just, it seemed nice to get out of, like, the cold weather. That's kind of like the big no for me. I always wanted to get out of Michigan. I always thought I would be in California, but then Texas came up as, like, a really nice option as well. Like, after I visited Austin, I was like, man, like, there's a lot of cool stuff out here in Austin. So, but California was the place I went to. And the area I'm in is really, it's not bad. It's almost like Ann Arbor, just with a lot more trees.
Okay, all right.
So it's really not bad, and same way of, like, cost even. So that was surprising for me, because you hear the horror stories and sticker shock of, like, whoa, like, California is, like, really expensive. It just depends upon where you're at. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think a lot of people when they say like, "Oh, it's expensive to live in California," I think a lot of people refer to like the Los Angeles area, but there are like
yeah,
affordable areas definitely. Like
hmm
I don't know, highs and lows.
yeah.
Just like
There's
anywhere you
definitely a lot
go.
of highs and lows
Yeah.
out here in the West Coast for sure. So
Oh well,
uh,
I'm excited. Hopefully you can come back for Michigan Masters next year. That'll be
that's That's definitely the plan. Like I mean, of course, I have plenty of reason to come
right.
back to Michigan. So,
Yeah, definitely.
um,
Well, yeah. Hopefully you'll be here. But yeah, like you said, we do have a lot of privilege here. Like if you live in the Midwest and you want to go to a giant event, if you don't want to fly, every event is, I think, a day's like car trip away. Like you
oh
don't
yeah,
you don't have to go on like a 24-hour like car ride. You can get there anywhere. I would say in about 10 to 12 hours.
yep.
Like
I drive to KIT every year. I drove to East Coast Throwdown one year, and that was a 10-hour drive. So it's it's reasonable.
I think that's the best part about living in the Midwest is being able to have those options and like yeah like but I think that's like a mentality that we all have like oh do you want to go here it's only like 6 hours away absolutely like pile up in the car like and road trip and that
Right,
just seems
exactly.
to happen a lot. I don't know. I definitely have a lot of friends that are like hey do you want to go to Chicago? It's 11 at night right now. Yeah I know but we can get there have some breakfast and come back. Yeah okay. And that is an honest to God
Hmm.
true story that has happened.
Yeah.
I had some friends. They were going out to Taco Bell in our small little town in northern Michigan. Our Taco Bell was closed, and they said, "Well, we're already on the road. What if we just go to Chicago?" And then 6 hours later, I got a Snapchat that they were in Chicago having breakfast, and then I went, "What are you guys doing?" Oh, we're on our way back now. Like
Oh man,
thank God for my
that's
friends, but also Jesus Christ, my friends. I don't.
yeah, I don't know about that, but that's a kind of like funny, relatable story. Like when I got out here, I was like, yeah, you know what? I think driving an hour for work is not a big deal. And some people got wide eyed, like, oh man, I don't know. What we do that in the Midwest all the time? Like this is normal. It's like yeah, but an hour? Whoa! Like thankfully that's not my drive right now, but like I can see that. It's like it's a pretty boring drive out here if you try to leave a city. So
Oh, I can imagine. That's like here. I have a 4 minute drive to work, and it because like my work is right up the road. You know, I live in a small
mhm.
town. But when I used to work out of town, like I would drive every day like an hour, and it wasn't really that big a deal. So I was just like, I enjoy being on the road. You know, and I think that's just like a Midwest thing. You're just like, yeah, it's okay to drive. Like fuck it, just hop in the car and go. Throw on some music or a podcast or something like that, and you fucking find yourself set.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
No problems. Uh, so all right, let's bring it all back around. Jesus Christ, I got off wild tangent there for 20
That's
minutes.
okay. I didn't help any either.
That
So
look, totally fine. I don't care. I enjoy going off on those tangents rather than sticking to the questions, anyways. But to bring it back a little bit, what got you started in fighting games? What was the first fighting game that you played, and you were like, okay, I think I want to keep doing this. Right.
so I guess my story always begins when I walked into a game crazy. I think it was like 12 years old or something like that, and like I never really played fighting games before, but I walked into an old game crazy. It used to be attached to like Hollywood Video, and the guy behind the counter was playing a fighting game, and I looked up like, what the heck is going on here? Like, what are you playing? It's like, oh, you ever play Street Fighter before? I said no. And he's like, well, here, check it out. And this was like the time when the Alpha Anthology was dropping out on PS2. So
Okay.
he
Okay.
tries to he claps me up in some Alpha 3, and I was like, well, this is amazing. Like I need to play this game all the time. And that's before I was smart enough to realize like I played Street Fighter 2 before when I was a kid, and I played Killer Instinct on a Super Nintendo before when I was a
Right.
kid. But like, you know, as the pieces started coming together, it's like I need more of whatever the heck this is. And somehow I stumbled into Guilty Gear instead of Street Fighter, and was playing Guilty Gear Double X like crazy. And that was like my first real foray into playing fighting games, and playing against other people was Guilty Gear Double X, and then into the Alpha 3. Um, and then went into college thinking I was pretty cool at some Guilty Gear, and even bought the Wii version of Guilty Gear, and would wave the dongle to do my dragon installs and whatnot on Guilty Gear. And I was like, yep, I know how to clap people up in this, playing Smash and all that. And then I got into Street Fighter 3, which is still by far and away one of my favorite editions of Street Fighter, because I'm a big animation person. That's one of the interests I had when I was in college was animation and like 3D animation, and just the style of Street Fighter 3 and even like the KOF games, like they always fascinated me. I wish they would still do that. Obviously, there's very good reason why they don't do that anymore. But Street Fighter 4 dropped and was like, all right, I'll try this, and played that. Hated the song at first. That was the worst song in the world to me. And then, we all fell in love with it once it went away.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
And
hindsight always.
Yeah. And then, I was like, let me see if I can fight some people in Street Fighter 4, and stumbled my way into Timbuktu, and that was the rest is history, and then slowly built from there. I sucked at Street Fighter 4. I still suck at Street Fighter 4, but I love it.
That's okay. I think everyone for a long time sucks at Street Fighter 4, and I think if that's the only game that you play, eventually you'll get good at Street Fighter 4.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
that one.
I still have like great memories of watching people play, and like it was a different time as well. Like jumping in it, because that was hot after the fighting game hiatus. Capcom unfortunately oversaturating themselves with how many editions of Street Fighter 3 they wanted to drop.
Right.
But like, they really found something in 4, and they brought back a nice, something that had been missing for a long time.
Yeah. I want to say they have themselves sorted out. I don't think they do. But I enjoy what they're doing with the franchise, so I can't knock them too bad.
Yeah.
But
well,
sorry, go ahead.
No, so I was gonna say, like, Street Fighter 5 is a funny story in like trying something new, and it's just like, I think the idea is there for them, and I think it's just not executing the way they want it to. Like, for me, I don't play Street Fighter 5 anymore. I played it at launch, but like Street Fighter 5 is like, on paper, like, this idea should work, because Killer Instinct did almost the same thing of like, all right, well, we're gonna let you buy individual characters. You can get this game for free, and then like you can play with a free rotating character. And Street Fighter 5 was like, we can do that, and it was there. They were almost there, and they're still. And now I think they're in the best place they've been since the launch of the game. So I think it's still doing well. They're learning.
Yeah, definitely. If I'm being honest, I think Street Fighter 5 is probably my favorite fighting game. And this comes from someone that played every fighting game growing up, but I've always been heavily into the Street Fighter series. I think 5 is my favorite. There are definitely flaws with it that I would hope that they would fix going forward. But I don't know. I think it's solid. Look, enough about Street Fighter. Let's get back to Guilty Gear for a second, because
okay.
All right. So in Guilty Gear, who was your first main that like drew you in? And
Soul Bad Guy.
Son of a.
Sorry. All right.
No problem. And are you excited to play Soul in Guilty Gear 2020?
Yes, I'm absolutely excited. See, this is the best part about playing the main character. I don't ever have to worry if this character's going to make it.
Well,
it's great.
Hold on. Listen, I yes, that's true, but if you remember, and you might not, but that's okay, because like I said, I'm an old person. I'm pushing 30. When Mortal Kombat 3 came out, that motherfucker didn't have Scorpion in it. Like, they were just like, nah, we're good.
That's right. He didn't show up till Ultimate, right?
Yeah, and then Street Fighter 3 did the same thing, where like they had almost none of the main cast from Street Fighter 2.
So, okay,
but those are departures, and Guilty Gear and BlazBlue, for what they're worth, are like, these are our fucking central cast of characters. They're never going away. I don't think we ever have to worry about that. At this point, I think if a fighting game that is established, like as a franchise, decided that they were going to like launch a sequel and have almost none of the base cast or like the main characters from a previous game, I think an actual riot would break out. Like
yeah. I mean, like, so looking back at Street Fighter 3, like, yeah, that was unfortunate. Like, it was again another situation like you kind of have with 5 different reasons, but like with Street Fighter 3, they were like, let's try something new, like, and it unfortunately backfired on them with the lack of like the historical cast that was there. But they wanted to explore different archetypes, like try new characters and see if that would work. And ultimately, we know how that story ended. It didn't work for them all that well. They ended up adding more characters and adding more legacy to it. And I look at MKX, for example. That one was set up to be like, all right, we're going to try to pass the torch to these new characters. And unfortunately, MK11, we don't have as many of the new characters that were there, but still, I'm still holding out for Takeda. Like, I hope that character shows up. But yeah, I mean, it is scary because I definitely talked a lot of smack about Arc Sys early on when Blaze Blue dropped, because it was like, it's not Guilty Gear, man. This isn't Guilty Gear. What happened? And like, I bought Calamity Trigger. It was like, yeah, Rockna's cool, but where's Soul Bad Guy? And then I just stopped. And one day I won a copy at Frosty Faustings of Central Fiction. It was like, man, I can't believe I was hating on this game for so long, and it's so good. Like, why did I do this? Right. So I've learned from history to be like, you know what? Try the new thing. If you like it, just play it. And if you don't like it, that's all right, man. There'll be something else later. Somebody enjoys it.
That's fair. Yeah, I didn't want to come off like I was brushing off Soul.
No, definitely not. Because that, you know what? We had Guilty Gear 2 Overture, and then I'm like, man, what happened here?
Yeah. What was the like the party style game? Was it Guilty Gear Isuka or Asuka?
Yeah, Asuka.
Yeah. Oh.
That was a trip.
Yeah. That was.
I never thought I would have to use a button to turn my character around.
Yeah.
That was crazy to me. Like, my buddy had that game. He was like, you ever played Asuka before? I'm like, no. He was like, check this out. We started playing. It's like, it's got a co-op beat-em-up mode. I'm like, all right, cool. That seems fun. And then I found out I couldn't turn around unless I pressed a button. I'm like, this is awful. I like Streets of Rage, but what the heck is this? Like,
that was a trip, man. That was something else. But I don't want to say that, like, oh, man, I wish they still made games exactly like that, because I definitely don't want that. But I do enjoy back when that was a time when they could take chances with franchises like that, and they were just like, here's a whole new game that plays almost nothing like the previous games, but they have all the characters, so fucking try it out.
I mean, let's not forget, Guilty Gear not only did Asuka, but they, like I said, Overture, and they even had the DS version as well. Guilty Gear Dust Strikers.
That's right. You know what? I can't even talk shit about Guilty Gear anymore. You know what? Those motherfuckers are always trying something different.
Always trying something new. And that I think that's good for fighting. Like, even NRS still is trying something new every single time. Like, the last 3 games have all played fairly differently. Like, I think 10 and 11 are probably, like, really close in the way, like, of how you play. But, like, 9 was so different than, like, the previous versions. Like, it went from 3D and then back to 2D. Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, so.
That was a giant departure. Well, I don't want to sound like an old person. It grinds my gears that it grinds my gears that MK versus DC is as a canonical part of the Mortal Kombat universe.
Well, that's how they set up in 11, though, right?
Yeah.
So, like, it is canon, but, like, is it really canon?
Yeah,
like...
for sure. Which, thank God they did the time skip and reset in 9, and then they were just like in. Spoilers for 11 story mode, but it's been like 6 months. Like, y'all get your shit together. Then in 11, they were just like, well, ran out of fucking ideas, so reset the storyline again. Like, and we can just keep doing this forever. Like, god damn it. Mm-hmm. I really wish y'all would stop this.
It's... I think it's cool, though, that they kind of play... Like, it gives you hope for additional characters in the future.
Oh,
like,
yeah, definitely.
All right, yeah, so-and-so is dead, but, like, because we've revealed that we have the opportunity to, like, mess with time and go to different universes, we could do whatever we want now, and it doesn't matter. Heck,
right.
Terminator shows up, and it's like, I'm from a different Earth. and it works. We're like, yep, that's acceptable.
Yeah,
So
throw that shit in. I really hope that the Xenomorph from X shows up in 11 because like the Xenomorph is canon in the fucking story because it came out of Baraka. So like,
yeah.
who the fuck knows? I hope so. That would be exciting. I hope they're just like, no guys, like this wasn't just like a one-off. These are just part of the universe now, and like Leatherface is also still here running around for some reason.
Yeah.
God, what a terrifying world to live in where Leatherface exists that you have to actually worry about. Good lord. Sorry. That's just fucking my own personal asides. I don't know where I was going with this. I started talking Mortal Kombat 11. Oh, we started talking. Fuck. All right, hold on.
We did, yeah.
Back on track. refresh. So, all right. So you've grown up with games your whole life,
Yes.
for the most part. What was your first video game that like got you playing them? What started you down even before fighting games? What started you down the path that eventually led you to where you are today?
So like I had an interesting like mix in the beginning. Like I had access to an Atari 2600, and then I had access to a Sega Genesis. And I think my fondest memory of like when I first started playing video games was playing Jungle Strike on the Sega Genesis, and it was a thing that me and my dad would do like all the time. It was like we would go back and forth and try to beat Jungle Strike, and I was like the first day. Have you played Jungle Strike first off?
You said the name, and like bells started going off in my head, and I was like, "Why do I know that name?" And I'm looking at it now. I played the ever living piss out of this game.
It's an amazing game. So for those that have not played this game, it's like. It's the original like come up of the what we would call now a shmup. You're in a chopper and you're the most baddest mamma jamma pilot in the world. Like you're so confident, you're kicking up your feet in front of the president in his Oval Office, going like, "I'm gonna take out these terrorists. Whatever happens, yeah, I'll protect Washington D.C. Don't worry." And you roll up. And me as a kid, I'm like, yo, I can fly around DC. I can shoot up the bad guys, rescue people, and then all of a sudden, next mission, I get a stealth fighter? Like, oh man, this is great.
Yeah,
like,
and like, there was like weird rescue missions in that fucking game. Oh my god, okay, so I have it up on the screen right now. For anyone that has never seen it before, but like this was like you could take down buildings and like there were like these people that you could rescue. Oh my god. I haven't thought of this game in 20 years. Holy shit.
It's good. I played it recently. I found a cartridge at Arcade Legacy, and they were sitting on a couple of them. I was like, yo, I need every copy of this game. I need to make sure this works. And slapped it into my Sega Genesis, and man, it does not hold up. But
it does not hold up.
I mean, even looking at it, like this game looks like, whoa, how did you play this game? But it was crazy because at the time it was like the chopper, like it looked like 3D at the time, and that was so cool. Like even Vector Man, it was another game I played. Like this is before I got exposed to Mega Man, and I was like, whoa, like 2D shoot 'em up platformers is like insane. It's awesome. But like Vector Man was the same way too, where it simulated this 3D effect. I mean, it was vector graphics, so like yeah, that's it, literally in the name, Vector Man. Duh. But like, man, like Sega Genesis had such a cool time in my life, like especially with my dad. Like we would co-op play Terminator 2. We would play like Jurassic Park. Like man, this game was Return to blow up. How many times did I just shoot up the White House? It was not knowing like what I was doing at the time, just as a kid, just like I'm gonna just shoot this building.
Reiterate for any Twitch mods that are following, or anything for the Twitch TOS. We're talking about the game Jungle Strike, which had this option on Sega Genesis. Not actually performing the action. Please God.
No. If I said it, and I was like, how can I turn this good? There's no way.
No, I was just.
But you have the photo on the screen, so therefore, we should be all right.
Oh man, but yeah, no. Vector Man was the same way. I have very vivid memories of playing the shit out of Vector Man and just getting stuck, like because it was so hard for like young Jose not being able to properly play the game. But Vector Man 2, Earthworm Jim, those games.
Oh yeah.
When I was a kid, I was like, man, like these graphics look so cool, and like the tube stages for Earthworm Jim, I'll always remember sticking in my head. Like, oh man, I thought that was like the pinnacle of gaming for the longest time. And even when the N64 came out, and like the N64, I was like, man, these games are ugly as shit compared to like what I had on the Sega Genesis because I wasn't ready for polygons at such a young age. Yeah. I was like, man, everything looks weird and blocky. And then I would go back and play my Sega Genesis. I was like, oh man, nah, this is it. And then little did I know, there's so much more out there.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was my first problem is playing like GoldenEye was one of the first games that I played on the N64. Because I didn't get one until much later, like in the N64's career.
Okay.
Or its life cycle.
Oh, yeah. That'd be an interesting time to pick one up.
Yeah. So, like, GoldenEye was one of the first ones that I saw, and I was just like, man, this, like, it looks cool because, like, it's in 3D. But, like, at the time, I was playing Area 51 in the arcades at the bowling alley all the time.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, games should look like this. Like, I thought this was the new generation. Why does the arcade look better? But, like, I was just a fucking stupid kid. And then, like, I played Metal Gear Solid for the first time, and I was like, oh, okay, like, this is obviously what games are going to look like going forward. And then my life was changed. Metal Gear Solid did everything for me.
Yeah, it was interesting to kind of bounce back and forth between, because, like, I didn't ever have a Game Boy Color. Game Boy Color was, like, the first Nintendo console I had. And we were a PlayStation family, so, like, when I had the PlayStation, I knew Tekken, and, like, I knew Metal Gear, like, came a little bit later because I was playing Siphon Filter at the time, I think, before I picked up Metal Gear. But, like, my buddy would have N64, and he had Ocarina of Time. And, by the way, Ocarina of Time's overrated. I'm just going to throw that out there. You know, you could... That's it.
I was just going to say, Alex, we became super best friends, and 100% agreed. Why would you play Ocarina when Majora's Mask is available?
Yeah, I guess that is also an option. I'm just not a fan of that era of Zelda. But I respect what that era of Zelda did.
Listen, that's only for the 3Ds, like, of the N64 Zeldas. If I had to put, like, a definitive ranking of Zeldas, Link to the Past, Link Between Worlds, Breath of the Wild, and then Twilight Princess are probably my 4 favorites.
Okay. I still put Wind Waker at number 1.
Oh, fuck, I forgot about Wind Waker. Okay. So, Link to the Past, Link Between Worlds, Wind Waker, then Breath of the Wild, then Twilight Princess. I always forget about Wind Waker. It's the black sheep of the Zelda games. But, like, I love it very much.
Well, the black sheep would be Skyward Sword. And we could just leave that out to pasture and never come back.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, man.
Looks beautiful-ish, but, you know. Anyway, but, like, my buddy had Ocarina of Time, and that was just magical to me to come to this game that had, like, this massive world. Like, Hyrule Field, it was like, what, games can do this? Like, this is insane. Like, the biggest game I played was, like, I don't know, Shinobi, like, on PS1, there was some ninja game, like Purple Ninja or whatever.
Yeah, that was
on
Shinobi.
PS1. And I was like, I guess this is probably the biggest thing I'll ever get. Like, or like Spyro even. Like, Spyro was not like that. And Crash Bandicoot it was a tight experience. But, like, at the time, like, Ocarina of Time seemed to be like the world was living, and, like, I would go do things and the world would still happen. And that was crazy to me as a kid. Now I know better, but, like just the magic of games back then was just so fascinating. And there was nothing that really scratched that itch of, like, adventure for me, and like Ocarina of Time did. Like, even just going over my buddy's house and we take turns, like, playing Ocarina of Time. So
yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah. I guess I shouldn't have shit on the N64 at the time, or at least saying it the way I did, because like I said, I saw GoldenEye for the first time and I was like, man, like, graphics not so great. But then I did see games like Ocarina of Time, and then Mario Party, like 1 and 2, and even Paper Mario, and I was like, oh, okay, like, these games are gorgeous, and, like, those games look better for me than, like, games like GoldenEye did.
Right.
And then I would play games like, do you remember Ogre Battle 64? Which was like...
Ogre Battle?
Ogre Battle. O-G-R-E.
Ogre.
Yeah, Ogre Battle. It was like a tactical RPG that you didn't really, like, get to play, but, like, you kind of, like, chose actions and the game carried it out for you. Like, way less so than, like, an actual, like, top-down, like, tactical RPG where, like, you can move things around. This was just, like, you make a choice and the game carries out for you. It was very strange.
Interesting.
But that game looked great. Newman in the chat says Pokemon Stadium was the shit. Absolutely. And also, I think the PS1 Ninja game you're thinking of is Ninja Shadow of Darkness.
Yes.
And I only know that because I played the piss out of the demo of that game.
Yep.
That was another one of those games that like came on the disc with the Final Fantasy VIII demo and the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater demo that would like come in magazines. That like I remember distinctly playing that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ninja Shadow of Darkness. That was something else.
Times.
But that was a weird era of gaming. That like was definitely split a lot, like down the line for a lot of people. Like either you played PS1 or you played N64, and you couldn't go back and forth. And I don't know, it was very weird.
It was that time where Sony and Nintendo went through that bad breakup of like, PlayStation was supposed to be a Nintendo thing, and then Nintendo's like, nah, we got this. We can just make cartridges. It's really good.
Yeah.
And PlayStation's like, okay, all right, okay. And then they made their own console, and the rest is history after that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. It changed history, honestly.
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine.
I mean, but still at the time though, I remember like so many games on the Nintendo console. I was like, wow, this is like amazing. Like this is way better than anything I can get on PlayStation. And then looking back at like just PlayStation games in general, like Jet Moto, I missed the heck out of like, what Brave Fencer Musashi was on there, and shoot, the Final Fantasy games moved over to PlayStation. Like, 8 is still like one of my favorite Final Fantasies. I finished it recently, and man, that my childhood memory did not hold up so well to that game. But I mean, just thinking about like how many RPGs came out on that platform. Like, you had Secret of Mana out there. Like, there were so many, like, I guess, different experiences. Shoot. Mega Man was there. Mega Man X4 was there, and that was my first introduction to whatever Mega Man was at the time. Like, I was at a birthday party, and his birthday present was X4, and then that's how I got exposed to Zero, and then, that's how eventually Zero became my tag. Like,
oh, no shit.
Yeah. It was it's a conjunction of, Zero from Mega Man X.
Yep.
Zero's the best.
Okay.
And then Syndicate comes from, I was watching Cowboy Bebop at the time. And like, I was watching, it was Gundam Wing, and there was like a trailer at the end of the Gundam Wing VHS tapes where they'd be like, yo, Cowboy Bebop, can Spike stop all these crime syndicates? I'm like, I don't know, but I like that word. Throw it on my tag.
Oh man, look, see, we find out the real answers without even asking the real questions. Solid. No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll heavily agree. Zero is the best in the X series. Especially compared to later on when they brought in Axel, which was, oh boy, Axel, goddamn.
I warmed up to Axel after 7.
I think that's what left such a bad taste in my mouth is 7, because 7 was complete butt of a game. But now going back and playing like the X Anniversary Collection that's out on PS4, like and playing 8, because I never got a chance to play 8 back in the day. Playing it now, I'm like, oh, okay, like I understand like why the games got better, but I will still never pick Axel. Like, it's always like X and Zero are my squad for 8.
Right, yeah. Axel was definitely tough, like, to play with in 7, but like, yeah, the X collection I bought twice. I bought the physical copy on PlayStation because I needed a physical copy of it. I still haven't opened it, but I bought the digital version on Switch because for the longest, like, all the time, because I had the Mega Man X collection, the original one, on PS2.
Yep.
And then I was like, man, I would play this more if it was portable. I wish I could play it on my PSP. And then Vita dropped. And I was like, man, I would play this if, it were on my Vita. And then it just never showed up. I'm like, okay. But Switch happened. Oh, man, that was the first thing I bought.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Yeah, I actually have the Mega Man X Legacy Collection or the Mega Man X Collection and the Mega Man Collection on PS2 that I'm kind of staring at right now and really wishing I was playing. But I think like X2 and X3 are probably among the games that I've bought the most of any video game. So, like, I know a lot of people have bought Resident Evil 4, which I'm also guilty of buying Resident Evil 4 on, like, 4 different consoles at this point. But, like, I have physical copies for X2 and X3. I have the collection on PS2. I have it, the remaster, or I have the re-releases on the Wii U. I have the X collection. And I'm pretty sure I have it, like, somewhere else, too. I think I might have Mega Man X on my 3DS as well, when they brought out Super NES titles for the 3DS, or for the new 3DS. So, yeah, I don't know. I just love those games, man. X1, 2, and 3, I think I'll just keep buying forever, as long as they keep porting them.
Nice. It was the last 3 that hooked me. Again, like, it was an animation for me. Like, seeing that type of sprite animation, like, really hooked. Like, 4, 5, and 6 hold up for me as far as, like, the favorites of that series. Okay. But then the Zero series happened. I'm like, whoa, this is way better.
Yeah,
but 4 and 5 are definitely, like, my top choices.
Listen, 4 and 5 you can't go wrong with. I know 5 got a lot of hate because of, like, the Guns N' Roses named bosses. But, like, as a kid, I thought that was cool as hell. And then finding out that, like, there were easy, normal, and hard modes, and you could unlock, like, more routes and more items if you went, like, the hard, like, if you selected hard difficulty. And, like, bosses had more health that was variable. There were more enemies. There were more, like, guys to rescue. You could get, like, more items in the game because you could rescue more guys. Like, that was way exciting for me. So, like, 5, I'll definitely go back and play from time to time.
And even the music, like, I still, like, I think this was... this was 6. Infinity Maginian's theme, like...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Dude, like, come on.
Yeah, Infinity Maginian is super solid. For those that don't know, a Maginian is a flea, and he can make multiple copies of himself. I believe that's what I have right. It's like a sea bug, or like a sea flea, something like that. Yeah. But Infinity Maginian is solid. X4's Sigma boss theme, incredible.
Yeah. Who could forget Duality?
Yes. God damn. There's another one, too, from X5. Is it X5 that has Burning... No, not X5. X6 has Burning Rooster's theme? Shit, my fucking brain is not working.
No, that one... I'd have to look back on that one.
Damn it. Hold on, everyone. This is the fucking part of the show where I gotta fucking look up...
This is where we all try to Google it real quick.
Yeah, Burning Rooster... Yeah, I see him. Oh, he's from X8. Okay, so he's
I was gonna say, like, that's not familiar to me.
All right. So he's from X8. Sorry, everyone. Sorry, I've completely failed. All right. Listen, I'll get off of Mega Man X for a little bit because I can talk about X forever.
Right. Yeah.
I love the X games, but the Zero collection is coming out next year on Switch, PS4, and everything else. So if y'all have never played a Zero game before, Mega Man Zero. Now is your chance when that collection comes out to pick them up and play all of them.
Touted as the most difficult series out of all the Mega Man franchise.
Yes, and that is no joke.
No, it is not.
That is no fucking joke, man. That game, I think that's why I enjoyed those games so much, because they pull zero punches. Pardon the pun. But, like, they that game, and it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very transparent about what it wants to show you and what it's going to do. Like, everything on screen is presented well, and it's like, this enemy does this. Like, we'll give you a warm-up to it, and then, okay, you've warmed up to the enemy in this area. Now this is the hardest situation for that enemy to be in with these pitfalls. Like, holy shit, it throws it at you.
Yes.
But there's never a point where the game feels cheap, or, like, any of the games feel cheap or, like, unearned. Like, if you die, it's just like a fighting game. If you lose, it's because your own fault, because you rushed things, because you were impatient, because you tried to take shortcuts, and you didn't.
Right.
If you are going to take a shortcut, you better have that shortcut down perfectly, because if not, you will die and suffer for it. And, man, God, those games are so much fun.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely can't wait for that one. Bought that. At least every version of Zero series, for sure. I mean, I feel like I have to. They kind of owe me, really, to be honest. I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, like I said, the game is so good. How could you not? Like,
right.
Man.
Yeah. Plus, I'm really excited for the remixed soundtrack as well. So
yes, the remix soundtracks are always so... That fucking Capcom continues to kill it with their soundtracks in their games. And, like, remixing old music for the new, like, re-releases... Always,
Mm-hmm.
always works.
Yeah,
I've talked
definitely.
about this in the past, but the PS4 our theme for Mega Man X, the Anniversary Collection, has like one of the best like chill songs, but I can't find it anywhere. Like, and it's not on YouTube. It's not for sale. Like on their website, like I can't find it anywhere. So I'll just have to throw my PS4 on and then just like let the music play, and it's so goddamn good.
Yeah,
But anyways, I'll bring it back to the FGC for a second. I'll bring it back.
sure.
So you've been commentating now at this point more than you've been playing. Uh,
Yes.
so what is your favorite game to commentate?
Ooh. Um.
And I know you have to play the partial route where like, oh, all games are fun to commentate. Like I love them all. Like I couldn't pick one.
No.
They're like a kid. But
No. I'm struggling between two. Uh, and it's Unist and Dragon Ball right now are my two favorites to commentate. Like Guilty Gear is a lot of fun. I love Guilty Gear, and I love doing MK11 commentary as well. Like I love doing all of them. But Unist and Dragon Ball, I had the most fun with. Dragon Ball is just easy to just really have fun with it. You can be really technical with the game, but then also like take moments to just have fun for like the exciting moments. Like, when you get excited, like it's easy to do because the characters on screen are just so animated and colorful about what they're doing, anyways, and that's just Dragon Ball in general.
right,
Um, but then also like the moments in Unist where uh like all right, well, look at the resources the player has. Like all right, well, Squish has like he's got one touch away from death, but you know what, he's got at least half a bar and he's got Vorpal ready to go. So like, man, if he touches Red Blade, he's gonna explode. Like, and then you hold your breath and freak out for a moment because you see that chain shift happen. You go like, all right, the next move is like, what's it gonna be? Like, and it's just the snap decisions in units that are just super exciting. And like, you hear me pop off. Like, actually, the last two times I've been on a recurring void effect, that's twitch.tv/, recurring void effect. Uh, they do a weekly set, like first to sevens. And like last couple times I've been on there, I absolutely lose my mind because of the last minute decisions that happen. Like, oh man, it either like goes to a timeout or like, man, they're both like one touch away from death, and it's so good to just be excited about fighting games. So
yeah, no, definitely. Eunice is the one that like I because I only kind of tangentially like play it every now and like I kind of have like an idea of like how the game plays. I don't know a lot about it, but
yeah,
I watching it, I always get super excited.
yeah,
It is one of the more hype games that you can watch. Like if you're not into anime games, I think Eunice is a good transition into watching anime like style fighters. It does a
yeah.
very good job. Like although there are very very dirty, disgusting mix-ups in that game, and a lot of awful things that like you're like I don't know what the fuck just happened. Usually commentators like you present it very well to the point where you're like, oh okay, this is what happened after the fact.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, some of the matches that I've seen you commentate and stuff like that, like, and because I'm a good podcast host and I definitely watched some before we did the show. You do a very good job of translating what's happening on screen.
Well, thank you.
So thank you for that.
No problem.
But as a commentator and as someone who is deep into Unist, is there ever a point because there are so many weird mix-ups in the way that things happen? Is there ever a point where you go, I don't know what that was? Like I've never seen that before. I don't know how to tell you what just happened.
Well, I would be lying to you if I said like, no, there's never been a moment. There's everybody has like a like what just happened, like whether it be the game interacts in a weird way or the commentator genuinely does it. Like when you prepare to commentate like a tournament or like any game, like generally you're gonna do your studying and you're gonna try to learn about like, all right, well, who's playing, what characters do you need to watch out for, what are some things, like some key things that somebody who doesn't know need to like pay attention to in this matchup. And we have like in the Unist community as a whole, as far as commentary goes, like some extremely intelligent commentators. I mean, we're talking like Brett and Fox, like they're both doing really well. Tari as well. All three of them, they know the game like the back of their hand. And it's always fascinating to hear them talk about the game because it's always like in such a high level understanding. And that's always fun. But yeah, like being able to take that moment to be like, oh, I don't know what happened. Like that's okay. It's better than like trying to be like make up an excuse of what happened, and then some stream monster in the chat's like, well, actually, this is what happened here, and like, yeah, I can't believe you don't know this. You're gonna get blown up. Like,
oh,
so.
I can only imagine that's so much worse as a commentator to get the well actually. Oh God.
I mean, like I try, like I'll of course like go back and watch like my matches that I commentate. Like, all right, well I need to work on this. Like maybe I repeated this phrase too much, and like maybe I need to, find a better explanation for it. And like sometimes the chat does help. Where like, all right, maybe like they have a better understanding or a better way to explain something that you said before, or like they don't have it. Like you got to be careful with like what constructive criticism you take out of chat, because like there's some people like oh, can he even see out of those glasses? Like what's he doing? I'm like, you know what, you're right, maybe I can't see out of these glasses. We should just tighten them up even more and just see nothing. I'll just blind comment. That's fine.
All right, well look, you touched on it, so now I have to ask. The glasses. At this point, they're synonymous with Zero the person, as far as I'm concerned. Where did they come from? Where did they start? How did you decide that this was going to be the Zero brand?
It started as a joke. Like, it was a really bad joke where, like, I was sitting at home playing some net play. I don't remember what I was playing. I was playing a fighting game for sure. And then, like, I think I saw, like, a in passing, like, video. It was like, yo. And I was talking to my now fiance, girlfriend at the time, where I was like, what if like I wore these while playing, and every time I won, I just taunted my opponent. It would be like bodied or like get good or like, man, you totally suck. Like, and I just be like, oh yeah, GG's, dude, GG's. And she's like, yeah, that'd be pretty silly. I'm like, yeah, but you know what, whatever, I'll never pick them up. And then she got them for me for Christmas that year.
Oh, and I was like, no. Okay.
Well, now I have to use these. So it started. It was weird at first. The first time I broke them out was KIT in 20. I want to say 2017. I feel like.
Okay.
Either 2017 or 2018, but it was a KIT, and I was like, all right, super nervous about it. I'm like, I'm just gonna put these on, see what happens. And I just started playing with them on, and then like ever since then, like just been a part of it. Like that's all I've been doing is just wearing them. It sucked at first. It gave me a headache like crazy when I first wore them, but like I'm definitely used to them now.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Like I know they're probably like really dull on the inside. Like I'm sure they don't shine directly in your eyes, but after wearing them for 8 hours at a time at an event where you're already watching flashing things happen on screen, I can only imagine they definitely don't help.
No, and it's definitely like I've had to take them off. That's the one game I can't really play well while wearing them is Dragon Ball, because there's so much going on. There's like small color like hints that show up, like when Dragon Rush shows up. Like sometimes like I'll miss that, or like there's certain mixes that I can't see because of it. So like I'll take them off sometimes for Dragon Ball, but like for the most part, like if it's an easier paced game, then like I'll be wearing them and playing. But yeah, for watching Dragon Ball, that's fine. Like when my mental stack is not about like I have to watch like where I'm gonna block and then react with my hands. Like I don't have to worry about that. But like for commentating, like it's definitely easier to watch.
Yeah. Oh, I can only imagine. Because as far as I've known you, which is Michigan Masters of 2018, I think. Like I saw the glasses and I was immediately like, all right, like. I'm down for whatever the fuck this guy is going to say, do, or play. Like immediately, I was like, all right, like I understand it, I get it, I know what he's about, and I very much appreciates it. But no, that's a crazy story. Like I had no idea that it started as a joke, and then just like, oh, and congratulations on the engagement, by the way. I know that just happened recently. Congratulations. But yeah, it's funny to me that your fiance was just like, all right, like you wanted to fucking talk about doing it, like here you go. Like, you
Yeah,
better
it's
make
like,
it
no
happen.
balls. You won't do it. No balls. I'm like, right. Like, here we go. So, but yeah, it's now it's like kind of like the catch of, all right. Well, I'm always wearing these, and the best part about it is when I take them off, very few people remember what my face looks like without them. So then I could just walk into places and be like, I'm just some nobody.
Yeah,
No big
exactly.
deal. I'm still nobody, but then like then you see the glasses and you're like, oh, yeah, I remember that guy. You're the dude with the glasses. I seen you before. Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw you on the stream. Okay,
I
thanks.
mean, but realistically, they're iconic at this point, like for you and like for the Zero Syndicate brand. Like
Yeah.
they really are. Like people see those and they go, "Oh fuck!" Like that's Zero. Like I know him from across the room.
Right, exactly. Like, and I think that was like the best part. I mean, especially like trying to get that was the thing. Like, where like you recognize that you saw that, it was like that guy is there, and then, like I got to think the event photographers as well. Like, hello, it's Lee. She took the profile photo that we have up here. Um, like seeing so many of those photos like out there, just into the mix as well, has been like really helpful just to get my name out there. It's been great. So, and I have to think like events like Michigan Masters just giving me a platform to even practice on and get out there as often as I have been able to. So,
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's shout outs to them and shout outs to you for continuing to build a wacky ass brand off of the glasses, but also off of your commentary style. Which, like I said, I find super informative and like super exciting because there are definitely times where like I won't have a stake in watching a match, but you raise it to a level where I go, okay, like I'm invested, even if I don't give a shit who wins either way. I'm invested into watching what happens and what carries out from here.
that's good. That's definitely been a goal of mine. Like, especially with like the one, like getting into Eunice is like, oh man, like it's such a daunting game to look at. Like visually, it's like, well, there's a lot going on, and I always thought like, how can I explain this game in a way where like someone who doesn't play can easily like grasp onto like, okay, this little moment here is important because. Like I think a lot of anime commentary can get into the numbers and the high level analytics, which is fine. It's super good to have, but like it's also like hearing it, like it can be pretty intimidating for like a newer player, like someone just like dipping their toes into that game.
Right.
So,
do you mind if we talk a little bit more about the commentary for a little bit because I'm actually super curious.
Sure. Yeah. Totally.
Okay. So what are all right? Let's say. Uniclear comes out, right?
Yeah.
What? It's a brand new game. You're commentating to it, like you're commentating it. You don't have a lot of interaction with it. Like you haven't had like it just comes out. What are some things that you look to avoid, or like what are some things that you try not to do, like when a brand new game comes out, like as you're commentating?
So when a brand new game comes out, like what I try to do when a brand new game comes out is immediately like just dive in and study as many aspects as I can. I guess the best example I could bring up would be like Mortal Kombat 11 when that dropped, because that was my first like at the start of the game entry into an NRS game. Because I played Injustice 2, but it was very much towards the end of the game. So being able to hit the ground running at the start with everyone else was great. So like taking the time to study it and taking the fundamentals from other games and try to relate that information to like, all right, well, what's popular right now? Like, okay, well, I understand fundamentals and I can kind of relate those fundamentals like from my Street Fighter experience. Let me try to attach that to this game, because that's obviously, if you look at like player count or like accessibility, there's tons of people playing Street Fighter 5, and people still to this day say that Eunice is like, well, it's anime Street Fighter, which it's not.
No, it's
not.
Alpha 3 is anime Street Fighter. God damn it.
But that's the one thing that people lean on, so try to relate it to that. For a brand new game, always ask questions. I got caught in a moment at East Coast Throwdown where like they didn't have somebody to co-commentate King of Fighters, and I was into King of Fighters, but I didn't know King of Fighters, so I was happy to play that person. I was like, all right, well, teach me this game while you're commentating it. Like, I'm the dunce here. Break it down for me in a way that not only I can understand, but then I can also relay the info that you're giving me to the viewership that's like, all right, this is how this works. Cool. But yeah, going into Uniclear, I wouldn't try to, like, of course, your old information is still going to work. I think, I guess I would just keep asking questions to people around you. And, like, as a commentator, I'm going to do just the studying of the changes. What's new? Like, I'm not going to try to stay stagnant in playing. Like, I play Akatsuki. But, like, I'm not going to keep playing Akatsuki and Uniclear and then not learn about everyone else in the game, you know? Like, you can't do that as a commentator. You have to try to dip your toes in every character, understand how they feel, and be able to present that story and how they change. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, fair enough. I guess, all right, so, how do I want to ask this? Let's say you're in that opposite position, you know, where you're thrown in, you have to commentate, and your co-host ducks out or is not available. Now you have a brand new co-host. What are you going to try to like convey to that person who might be new to the game, in order to give them like a good commentary style? Whoa, hey, look, we're just asking commentary questions. You need to calm down.
She's really excited to hear this.
Look, I know. She doesn't want me to ask my bad questions. How do you warm up a co-host who's relatively new to the game in order for them to be on your level? Do you just kind of throw them softballs and like you cover the analytics, or do you just kind of cover most of it and let them chime in every now and then?
Yeah, so I'm doing commentary has always been like interesting because like I'll get paired up with a bunch of different people at an event or like even just at a local. It's like you never know who you're gonna get. So like I always try to like kind of start slow. I don't want to like try to overtake somebody because I want to know what their style is. If I notice that like, all right, well, they're not really saying a lot, so I guess this is my opportunity to try to take the lead. Like if I recognize that my co-commentator isn't so knowledgeable, I'll take the lead in a lot of cases where I'm like, okay, well, this is what's happening here. I'll try to keep it in a understandable tone for them, and I would handle the analytics, them do the color commentary. My personal strength is doing color commentary. I try to do the middle ground of like, yeah, I'm doing analytics, but I'm also doing color, so it's entertaining, but it's also like you're learning while you're going along. But if I have to go into strong analytics because I'm introducing somebody new to this game, I try to make the lesson like understandable at that point because like they're gonna. I guess this happened at a local where like somebody was like, oh well, you know, this character is actually just like, man, they're just a bad character. Like they're not gonna work in this matchup. Like they're gonna lose. Like, well, if you take them all and look at the tools that this character has, this is how they can overcome their opponent. You know, like try to roll off of what they're saying. Never make that person look bad or like look like they don't know what they're talking about. They might say something that's like really wild out. Like if someone says something really wild out, it's like, you know what, Ryu doesn't exist in this game basically, so you may as well just never pick that character. But all right, buddy, you need to chill out. let's take him over here. But like if they take a genuine like they say something wrong, like, oh well, actually, you know, that's really unsafe, they should do this, be like, well, you know, it could be unsafe in this situation. Like talk them up. And the more you talk them up, I think it helps to build confidence in what they're saying. It's like, oh well, sure, I might have made a mistake or misspoke in some point, but like they didn't knock me down for it. They helped me out of the situation. And that helps to build confidence and strength in that streamer. Like I've had somebody that was brand new. Actually, I believe Box Fan at KIT last year. It was his first time commentating a major. And he was doing Dragon Ball with me. And like, he slowly built up confidence as he was commentating with me. He saw like the things that I was doing, like what I was getting away with as far as like having fun on the mic. And then like, I was still trying to bring him in. Like, what do you think about this situation? Like, oh, what do you think about this matchup? Or like, man, wasn't that cool? Like, I want to keep bringing them in because then that gives them opportunity to practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, shit. Well, continuing off of that, let's say there's someone that wants to get into commentary, but they don't know where to start and they don't know what the hell they're doing. You know, they might know a game in and out, but they don't know like how their way around a mic. What advice would you give to like an up and coming commentary or a commentator or someone that wants to get into commentary?
Always try to do it. Like if you don't have a local, because that's sometimes it's a privilege to have. Let's be honest. Like having a local is like you're privileged to have a local, and you're really lucky to do that. So if you have one, go there, ask if you can, and just try to get on it. Whether it's like a game or like an hour or whatever. As long as you're doing it, then you're getting your practice out. If you don't have a local, you can there's tons of fighting game content out there. You can go to YouTube right now, look up like, all right, well, I'm going to go check out Combo Breaker 2019, I don't know, Super Turbo, and commentate over that just to yourself, record it, and listen to it. Or you can do analysis streams like I've been doing, and that helps build not only my portfolio, but like helps continue to keep me practiced on the microphone, where you're streaming, you're showing your knowledge of the game, you're talking about like some points that like maybe you would use in like another match later on. Like it also helps to build that commentary reel as well. If you've never been to an event but you want to get your feet wet, excuse me, in an event, then you have that to fall back on. It's like, all right, I've streamed analysis on my channel or my YouTube, Twitch, what have you. I have that as an option to use as a demo reel, and then you have something to submit. So as long as you're creating content and continuing to practice, you're doing pretty well. And also feel free to listen to what other commentators are saying or how they're presenting. Don't copy a style, but like see what works, what phrases might work as well, or like how commentary flows in general. It helps to research other commentators because like a perfect example, when I did KIT this year, Tasty Steve was co-commentating with me on Guilty Gear Top 8. And I was watching a Sajam video, and he's like, I'm going to break down how Tasty Steve does commentary. I was like, all right, let me take some notes here. I didn't know at the time I was going to commentate with Steve, but like the moment I got to that event and I sat down with him, I heard the things that Sajam was talking about that Steve would do. I was like, this is perfect. Like, it's like we had commentated before, but Steve has done so many of them. He's so used to doing various people that he's just great with whomever. But like me knowing the cues helped.
Okay.
So,
no, that's
some things.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Fuck. I can only imagine what it's like to be on the mic with someone like that who has like a whole bunch of real experience out there. Not like real like REAL, like real like REEL. There's like fucking tape amongst tape from these guys, So stepping up with someone that's like a higher known commentator, and not to downplay you or your experience or anything like that, but like when you're on like with like a Tasty Steve or like a Sajam or something like that, does that make you want to elevate your game a little bit more, or is that like a little bit more intimidating and you kind of have to warm up to commentating with them?
It doesn't intimidate me because for me, I know that they're here to do a job and I'm a job. So the way I look at it, and the way I've looked at it since like starting to come to events more and more, is like we're all just people that love video games. And we're all here to share our love and passion of video games. So I'm sitting down next to a person that loves the game just as much as I do. So I should be like the conversation we're having right now should be the conversation I have with whomever sits next to me, no matter what.
Okay.
So like I never ever think about like who is sitting next to me. Like I'll look, like I think about like the commentary style that they bring, but like I don't let it like get to me like, oh man, like I better be on my P's and Q's. Like I'm always like, crap, I better be on my P's and Q's because the stream monster might tear me up if I say the wrong thing. But I'm still going to try to put on the most entertaining show that I can and generate like some sort of interest towards this game so more people play this game. And man, I'm going to commentate next to Tasty Steve. I have to be just as hyped as this dude, because if I'm not, what am I doing?
Right. You don't want to be the zero energy guy next to Tasty Steve.
Yeah. See, yeah. No. I can't do that.
Oh man. Well, all right. So you've been to all these events. You've traveled all over these United States.
Yes.
What is the best event that you've ever been to? And I think we might have already touched on it, like with Combo Breaker. But what is the
Yeah.
best event that you've ever been to?
The best event I've ever been to is definitely Combo Breaker, hands down. It's always like a big family reunion, and it was so this year because there were people at Combo Breaker this year that I did not get to see because there was already so many people there, and that's always scary. That like the bigger that Combo Breaker gets, the less and less I'm going to be able to see everybody. So that's scary, but it's also awesome that the event gets bigger and better every year. Um, so yeah, Combo Breaker is definitely just the 24-hour venue. It was one of the first that like had that, and it blew my mind. And like, there's always something to do, and it's just like a giant vacation. Like I could go down a hall, and like there's somebody else that I can hang out with, or like, oh man, I can go across the street to Culver's, and if they still have food, I might be able to get food from there, or go to Portillo's and definitely get food there.
Oh yeah, oh Portillo's.
Oh yes, I miss it.
Oh man, yeah, that's Combo Breaker's up there. I like I said, I think Michigan Masters is my favorite, but Combo Breaker, as far as presentation goes, by the heads and shoulders above everyone else.
Yeah, the production value has been amazing. Like CEO is definitely another really really good one. But like because of the size of those two events and like at the time like my location, I was like, well, if I spent the time and money to go to CEO and Combo Breaker, I've gotten that full experience. And if I miss out on Evo, that's not too terrible a loss because I went to two of the best tournaments out there.
Right.
So, but the spectacle that is Evo, the prestige of the name behind it, but Evo is a very different event. Like Evo is very much it's the tournament convention experience where like you're there, you play your game, and then you watch the rest of the games unless you make it into top eights or what have you. Whereas like CEO and Combo Breaker is like the celebration of fighting games. Like don't get me wrong, like Evo definitely celebrates fighting games, but like there's a different vibe when you go to a Combo Breaker where it's always accessible. Same thing with CEO. Like it's always like you go there, you hang out, have a good time. Evo is very much like I'm here because I'm trying to prove something.
Right.
Whereas CEO, like, man, I can't wait to make that top 8, to jump in that ring and do my intro and just have a great time. And Combo Breaker is just like, this is the most relaxed environment I've ever been in. And I love it. So.
Yeah, it's very telling about Combo Breaker where every single person that I played at Combo Breaker, I ended up either becoming friends with, talking with on this very show, or having drinks with that weekend. Every single person that I've met, like every single person that I played at Combo Breaker, because the environment is so chill and so much fun, I either had drinks with them, I've talked with them on the show, I've become friends with them, or like I'm going to be going to one of their events very soon. Like
there you go.
There's something in the air in St. Charles that makes like everyone is like willing to open up and be friendly and talk like after matches. Like I don't know, there wasn't any there were no bad vibes is what I'm gonna say for lack of a better word. There was no like hostility towards anyone else after matches. Like matches could get intense, but afterwards like everyone shook hands, had a great time, and like still like hung out.
Yep, exactly.
And it was everything you want out of the FGC is what Combo Breaker is.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't say enough nice things about it. But that being said, is there an event that you want to go to that you haven't been able to travel to yet?
Doesn't exist anymore, but SoCal Regionals.
R.I.P. SCR.
It was an event that I was like, man, I want to go to SoCal Regionals. When is that event? And then I'd look at the date and I'd see what date it is. I'm like, oh yeah, it's too late. I can't go to that. And the cycle would repeat every year. Like I always list out a year in advance of like events that I'm going to. And that was never on the list, but then it was on the list at like the last minute every year. So, there was that. But now I guess since that's gone, Climax of Night, man. I definitely want to go see a Climax of Night.
That's in Atlanta, correct?
Yes, that's in Atlanta. The first one was last year, and it was, man, I was so bummed that I missed it last year because I didn't know. Like I knew of it going on. I wasn't where I'm at now as far as Eunice goes, especially for Eunice commentary. But the way they ran that event it gave me flashbacks of the Killer Instinct World Cup. Like that event was something like because they celebrated KI, and it was such a beautiful experience to have of like people together loving one specific game. And it seemed like Climax of Night was that experience, and I wanted to see that, and I wanted to be there in that moment. So this year, it coming back, I would love to go back again.
Okay, yeah, that's that one's put on by Shinobi. For people that don't know, if you don't know who Shinobi is, go to any FGC event, look at the Facebook page, and there will be a guy who's offering cups quotation mark out of his room for $4.
The juice.
Yeah, the juice. And that's Shinobi. Find him, and he will give you all the information you need for Climax of Night. And he is a super fucking chill dude. I love that guy.
The fact that they're doing the Adult Swim ads.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my god.
That's a good aesthetic to have.
Fucking shout outs to that dude. Shout outs to him fucking hustling, man. And getting it out there. Well, I guess we're at a fucking hour 20 already. Time has flown by tonight. Holy shit. So I will ask you these two last questions. If there's anyone in the chat that has any questions for Zero, feel free to throw them at us right now. While I ask Zero these last two questions, then we'll get the hell out of here and let you go back about your day. I know you're about 3 hours behind me, so I won't say go to bed, but I'll say enjoy your night. You've been all over. You've seen all wakes of life from the FGC. Do you have a favorite story that's come out of it?
Favorite story from the FGC? Oh boy. I guess my favorite story would have to be when Sleep won KI World Cup 2018? No, not 20. No, definitely not. It was 2017 KI World Cup. And the thing about it was like we had come up from Plum Hollow Lanes in Detroit, and we could all recount the growth of our group playing Killer Instinct, and it was like I remember I put up on the Michigan FGC page on Facebook, and I was like, "Is there anybody playing Killer Instinct?" And there was one guy, and it was Finch-O-Matic. He was sitting there playing, and I said, "You know what? All right, cool, I'll play." And then it was just me and him for a little bit, and then Sleep showed up out of nowhere, and Sleep's had like a phenomenal career in Killer Instinct. It goes without saying, but like just his story in general of coming up from that bowling alley and with us, including Mello and Chaim, Keith, all of us just continuing to grow. It was just a small group, and the fact that like he made it to the world stage and won, and without getting into too much detail, but like Finch helped out Sleep in many, many ways, and it was just that was just an FGC moment. And when he won, like we all like hugged it out, like good for, like so proud of him and how far he'd come. And that's definitely my favorite FGC moment right there.
That's a fucking great one.
Because I missed his Evo win, and when I saw him win Evo, and I was sitting at home in Detroit, I was like, I'm never missing a moment like that ever again.
Right.
And that's why I never skipped out on an event after that. So.
Well, yeah, to see one of your friends, and especially someone that like you've played with forever, like get to that stage and like perform that well, it is a transformative experience for you.
Yeah.
That's an awesome story. Fucking shout outs to Sleep and for
definitely.
everything he's done. RF Hacker in the chat wants to know: would you sell ad space on your glasses for an event? If not, would there be any exceptions?
I would absolutely. Come on. I'm living in the West Coast. I'm not making a whole lot of them. Sell ad space. I would sell ad space on my shirts. I would do literally like yes. I would sell ad space on the glasses as long as it's not egregious. Like right. I've definitely done requests. I've had Jabali request to wear my glasses. And I've had other people also request to put ad space on. When I was sponsored by Sortie Gaming, I definitely put on the Sortie sponsorship tag on there. In my brief showing with Onslaught Gaming, I definitely put Onslaught on there as well. Yes, if there is any way to sell my brand, I would absolutely do that.
I have a price, and it's not that high.
I really love Fig Newtons, but I cannot hit these combos. Oh man! Unfortunately, that would not fit on the glass.
Oh my god.
We have tried many tags.
Oh man. All right. Well, with that one, I'll throw you this last question and we'll get out of here.
Okay.
This is your chance. What is on your mind lately? What is something you want to get off your chest? Whether it be about the FGC, whether it be about life, anything, anything that you want to talk about. Now is your stage to get it out there.
I guess I've been thinking a lot lately about because it's been a recent topic. It's been about like the prize pool for top 8 players in just any game in general for fighting games. It's disappointing to think about how much you can invest into showing up to an event and then like how little return that you can get when you're a top player winning frequently. It sucks, and it depends upon the game that you're in. But I always fall back on like it's so dependent upon the player and how they present their brand, and it is that slippery slope of like I've seen a lot of conversations on Twitter. I'm sure you have as well, where like there are some players that are like, well, it's not worth it for me to go to an event because I could stay home and make more money on a stream than I would at the event. And I think that's one way to look at it, but I also think like maybe there's room for doing like I guess the comparison is always like, oh, all right, well, League of Legends does millions of dollars, CS:GO millions of dollars, and fighting games just get the short end of the stick in a lot of games. But I think that if we don't have invitationals that often. Street Fighter is definitely starting to dip into that invitational experience, which I think they should keep going with, because that's going to be something really strong where you put those faces out there and give them such major opportunities. But like a lot of players are like, well, I'll just play video games real good and that's all I'm going to do. It's like, well, I can't really sell that.
Yeah,
like, that's great. Like anybody can play a game real good. What else?
Right.
Like
it's 2019. You need to market yourself more.
Yeah, like, and I think about like some of my favorite like fighting game streamers. Like I look at Smug playing fighting games, and Smug is so fun to watch playing fighting games. Like it's great. But then you look at like other streams as well, where it's like, man, all they do is just play like ranked.
Right.
Like just keep playing ranked. I'm like, there's more to the fighting game community than just you sitting there playing ranked.
Right.
And it shows like this show here, and what you're doing, and shows like that Sajam has been doing, and even like just entertaining experiences like that we get from Smug and other players out there. Like that's more of content that the fighting game community can do. Like, or like even the vlogs that Tekken player. I'm blanking. Not Saint, but the other guy.
Yeah. Not me.
Not JD. No, JDR is a Eunice player.
JDCR.
JDCR. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Ooh, we got there. I knew it was a 4-letter name.
But he's been doing vlogs of like just his day-to-day life. That's cool. He's becoming a personality in and of himself. Like he's just trying to put it out there. Shan is always posting stuff all the time. Razor Shan. And even like Chris G is still doing content as well at home, not just playing fighting games, but doing other things. And I think, okay, yeah, it sucks to go to an event where you spent like, I don't know, $500 on a plane ticket, $60 to register, and then $10 a game, and then you $500 back. All right, yeah, that sucks. But you're not in this for winning money. Like it's not your job.
Right.
People making jobs out of this game, out of like fighting games, just alone playing fighting games, is such a small percentage. But there's so much more that we all can do that we can help, like make product for yourself. Like, man, all right, well, what if you did like Zero has a T-shirt now, boom, like use that, and that can fund whatever you want to do your stream, or like if you really want to try to do it full time, that's something you could do. But like, I loved the summit. Like the MK Summit and the Dragon Ball Summit, you're buying merch that funds a pot, and then that pot goes to the players. And it's an invitational. That's pretty cool. If you think about the format that CS:GO does it, you buy your skins, or like even League buying the skins and additional products that they sell. That money goes back into the game, which is invested back into the pots. So things to think about. Like, all right, you're going to these regular tournaments that aren't all on the same scale. You're not always going to get like the biggest payout, but it shouldn't be money right away. Like, think about what you're doing and think about the platform that you have, I guess is what I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Set up a Teespring for yourself. Set up.
Yep.
There are so many avenues of ways that you can market yourself. If you do want to like make this a career and make money from it, you have to understand that there are more things that you can do and that you should be doing in order to make money than strictly playing fighting games. And if you need help, there are people out there that you can ask. Like, fucking, there are all kinds of content creators out there that are like, hey, like I need help. Where do I start? Where do I go? Twitter is vast with these people. Justin Wong, while I don't see eye to eye to him on everything that he says and does, that dude has marketed himself and created himself as a Justin Wong brand by being more than just like, I'm good at fighting games. He travels, he promotes locals, he sells T-shirts, he flies players out. Like, he also has a day job at Nvidia, if I remember right. But like, the dude makes sure that his content that he puts out is stuff that he wants out, and he like shapes the way that people view him, tier lists included, by his very specific brand, and he makes sure that the people know he's more than just fighting games.
Yes.
Because this year you wouldn't know Justin Wong's placements in any fighting games. Like, he does well, but he's not like performing exceedingly. But
he's not winning tournaments like he used to. Like, he's winning he's definitely winning Marvel tournaments, that's for sure. But he's.
But you would know him from flying out players from across the world and working with Sherry Jennings to get them like visas, so like with the E-Fight Pass program, to come to America and play in competition. Like, you would know him from flying out like Mike Too Strong and all these guys to CEO. Like, you know him from promoting himself as a brand more than Justin Wong, the fighting game player. And if you want to do this as a career, I think it's important that you learn to market yourself as a brand and not like Sriracha Flash, the fighting game player. It's Sriracha Flash, the podcast host, plus I play fighting games. Like, that's where you need to market yourself.
Right, and make friends, talk to people. Like, there's always going to be somebody that knows something more than what you know. Like, I think it was like, Muhammad Ali said that or something like that, where like, you should always, like, there's always somebody that is an expert at something. It's your job to find out what that is and learn from them. Because there's always somebody better than you at something.
Absolutely. Listen, advice from the great one, Muhammad Ali. Before we leave this microphone today, Zero, this has been awesome. We've been going for 93 minutes at this point.
Yes. Thank you very much, though.
No, thank you. Like I said, I always appreciate doing these. I probably could have talked for another hour and a half with you, but I had to speed up the questions. I didn't want to keep you here all night. But if people want to find you on the internet, where can they find you?
You can definitely find me on Twitter at ZeroSyndicate. I'm streaming weekdays. It's 8 p.m. Pacific now for me, generally, on twitch.tv/ZeroSyndicate. And you can catch a lot of my analysis VODs on YouTube. You can search ZeroSyndicate on YouTube. I don't have a custom URL as of yet because I don't have 100 subscribers on my YouTube channel. So we both need to work on that. So that's what we're going to do.
Oh, my God. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So that's where you can find me. Also, I saw Rockdan saying hello. I am doing well. Thank you for asking, and glad to stop by.
Fucking shout out to Rockdan, who always seems to like come through, and he is always like, "Hey, I'm just watching for a little bit. I'm gonna ask a couple questions. Peace out. Like, hope you're doing all right." Like, thanks, Rockdan. Fucking solid guy.
He's always popping into not only.
I love Rockdan.
He's been around, so I miss him, and I hope to see him at Michigan Masters. I'm sure I will.
Oh yeah. 100%. Listen, I can't wait to see you there too. It's gonna be great. But if y'all want to find me on the internet, you can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and everything else at Sriracha Flash. We have fun merch. I'll throw it in the chat right now for people that are watching the VOD. Otherwise, it'll be in the description, along with everything that Zero has put out today. His Twitch, Twitter, his YouTube channel. Those will all be in the description links down below. If you want to find him on the internet, I'll make it easy and accessible for you there. But that's it. That's the show. This has been Some Random. I have been Sriracha Flash. This has been Zero Syndicate. Y'all have a good night.
Later days.